right, big question for you, new this morning. What should Brentwood look like in 15 years? Well, city leaders are asking neighbors to help shape that vision through something called the Brentwood 2040 Plan.
Joining us this morning is the mayor of Brentwood, Nelson Andrews, who is here right now. Thank you so much for joining us here, Mr. Mayor. We certainly appreciate it, sir. What can you tell us about the Brentwood 2040 Plan? What is it exactly?
So Brentwood for a long time has had a long-term planning process. So we had a Brentwood 2000 program, a 2010 program, a really well-publicized 2020 program around the 2020 vision, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And so we did our 2030 plan about 2016, so about 10 years ago. So about every 10 years we go through and look forward to see how do we keep Brentwood desirable, how do we keep it aspirational, and how do we really keep it moving forward in a way that works well for the residents and for the community.
Brentwood is regularly on the tops of the list for best places to live, best places to send your children to school. When you're asking folks to envision the future, what are some of the key things you want them to keep in mind? I feel like for most people, especially around Middle Tennessee, because we're growing so fast, right? You're thinking infrastructure, things like roads and sewer and water. What do you want people to keep in mind in this plan? So
we actually have a whole citizens committee that's put together to look at it, and it's divided into 3 work groups. So one you'd expect is quality of life. You know, Brentwood wants to have a good quality of life, but then we also, as you'd guess, have transit. You know, we're talking about traffic, we're talking about congestion, we're talking about moving around the city. And that includes bike trails, pedestrian trails, other things like that. But the third leg of the stool is the business community. So Brentwood is largely a residential community, and that's what most people think about. So even though the business district of Brentwood is only 5% of the land, it represents over 60% of our tax revenues in sales tax and business property tax. So we also have a committee looking at how do we keep the business community healthy and relevant.
We understand there's going to be a survey coming out here.
There is.
So what can people expect to see on that survey, and how vital is that survey to your plan?
So we have a third-party consulting company that's put together a really good survey to measure people's thoughts on these different areas. So it's coming out, there'll be a postcard that goes out to all the households in Brentwood that has a QR code that they can use to go to the online survey. And then it's been professionally designed to be able to give people feedback in these different areas of the city and what sort of choices we want to make going forward. So as successful as Brentwood is, it would be really easy to say, don't change anything.
Right.
But what if your house was exactly like it was 15 years ago right now? You know, you're going to invite
do some upkeep.
You know, you're not going to be showing it off so much. So you got to keep things relevant, but that doesn't mean you want to lose your heart. You don't want to lose the soul of the city. So how do we keep it relevant, trying to look forward 15 years down the road? And that's what the task is for this survey. You know, the consultants are trying to ask people what they think.
So a postcard will be coming in the mail. If you're watching, waking up with us in Williamson County, Brentwood in particular, watch for a postcard in the mail. When will you gather all the feedback, and then what will you do with it? Like, when will people know the results of the survey, and when might they see change?
So the survey is supposed to close by the end of September. So it'll be, what's that, about 6 weeks it'll be going on. So people in the next 2 or 3 weeks should see the postcard. We'll be getting well, actually the consulting company and the committee working on this will be getting the results back there at the beginning of October. So we're hoping as we process through it and it comes back to the City Commission, you know, as we're getting into the end of the year and starting 2027, we'll be able to go through and share all the results and the feedback and make sure the community has an idea what we've heard. And interestingly, we have an election for the City Commission of Brentwood next spring. So the election cycle should give us a really good opportunity to talk through what have people been telling us and getting feedback, you know, even more so through that.
Mayor Andrews there from Brentwood. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here.